next up, we will have a slight change in agenda, and we will skip ahead because we will hear about the next 5 years in staking adoption. So please give a round of applause to staking guru, CEO of Staking Awards, Mirko Schmiedl. Hi.
I love proof of work, but it soon became a love and hate relationship for me. I was running a Bitcoin mining farm in 2017 in Thailand, and it was like the dad of my business partner had a biomass power plant in Champong, down south in Thailand, and they produced 10 megawatt in electricity. But they had only contracted 8 megawatts to the provincial electricity authority. So despite having access in 2 megawatt electricity, pretty much for free, it was still extremely hard to make the mining farm profitable. So we were struggling with that. So we had two options. Either we find like big outside investment for it, or we were not able to contribute to the most decentralized and permissionless blockchain ecosystem in the world. At the same time, I was staking a lot of tokens, but it was very easy to participate. And you could actually contribute to like the financial revolution and have an impact on it. And that was really fascinating. It was a lot of fun as well. Let's have a look like where we stand today and what's the average threshold of participation in staking. And maybe a question for the audience here. What do you guys think about like what's the average staked value per wallet across all the different proof-of-stake networks? Do we have some guesses here? Just shout it, maybe. How much? 3,000? 10,000. 10,000, yeah, that's pretty good. So just seeing next year. Yeah, so the average staked value per wallet is 10,000. Congratulations. In Cosmos, it's actually less, 4,000, and in Osmosis, it's just 800. So we've definitely come a long way from like needing to invest like millions of dollars for mining farm, and then you can actually participate with less. So that's really exciting. And yeah, so basically, since like going all in proof of stake, I dedicated my life to that, making proof of stake successful in a sense, and lucky to like working with amazing people. We've been building like 3 verticals in the proof of stake ecosystem. We have a website, an API, the verified staking provider program, and organizer of the staking summit. So let's take a look today and like what are the next steps. Now we have like the ecosystem is growing. We have like 9 million staking wallets. But I still feel like the proof of stake is very dynamic and that's changing a lot. And we are still like not fully realizing its full potential. So let's look at like 6 key aspects where I see what the future will bring for proof of stake, basically. Looking back in the past, we've went to like a few iterations in proof of stake. We like started with the ideation, then a lot of mainnets came out, and now we are starting to have a little bit of modularization in proof of stake with like, and now it's like, the Ethereum merge, so it's going to be interesting what's coming next. And I think there are like 3 key challenges for it. One is like unlocking staking's true potential with modularization. The second one is like making staking more resilient and decentralized over time. And the third one is like unlocking growth and adoption through staking abstraction. So we're going to look into like some of that verticals. First question is like, what will staking be used for? It's like on one side of the spectrum, it's like, it's pretty much not used for anything. On the other hand, it's like, staking can be used for anything, basically. Today, we are more like, it's used for proof of stake consensus. But basically, I believe there's much more in staking that we can unlock. So my prediction is that we are going more into like unlocking more potential for staking itself. by unlocking more use cases where security guarantees can be provided for more digital work agreements and so on, despite like only blockchain infrastructure. And I think also Cosmos has a very unique positioning there because it has a very thriving staking ecosystem, so it can actually lead the charge in innovation around like unlocking staking's true potential. The second point, what consensus will we have? On the one end of the spectrum, it's like proof of work, basically, or like non-POS consensus mechanisms. And on the other hand of the spectrum, it would be, I call it like hyper staking domination, when like everything would be proof of stake, kind of, the entire blockchain ecosystem. And today we are somewhere here. It's still like fairly dominated by proof of work and Bitcoin. And my prediction would be we're going to like, more balanced out, so staking will become, proof of stake will become more relevant over time. And so I think Cosmos has a very unique opportunity there to serve as the bridge between proof of stake and proof of work, because I think it's great that we have two ecosystems, proof of stake and proof of work, working together. And Sunny talked about it in his talk yesterday, I think, that Cosmos can be the like unlocking the ecosystem for Bitcoin and seeing into the future where like we have proof of stake and proof of work. This is a very unique positioning for Cosmos, I think. So that's really exciting. Looking at the, so here we see like basically proof of work and proof of stake. It's getting like more, proof of stake is getting more important, and probably it will like flip at some point, I think, but then stay around the same levels. How many chains will there be, and how will they differentiate? On one hand of the spectrum, it's like one chain per consensus mechanism would be like, just let's say Bitcoin and Ethereum only. And today we have like a few chains, and the other end of the spectrum would be like, thousands of chains and so on. My prediction would be that we are consolidating more in proof-of-stake chains. So there will be different chains for different use cases, but there won't be like thousands of them. So I think in the future, it will be more important for ecosystems to have a clear market positioning. I think Cosmos is like uniquely positioned. It's great, and should also like really lean into it as like the connector of blockchains. So that's great, and it has like very differentiated technology as well, and so on. Next point is, how will staking products look? On the one side of the spectrum, it's pure staking. Everyone will like directly run validators and directly contribute to the staking. And then on the other hand of the spectrum is like staking getting like totally abstracted in financial products, and people are not directly contributing to staking anymore, but rather like they're buying some indexes where like staking is part of that or something. So today we are like more here, and there's like centralized and also decentralized solutions like index funds and so on that are trying to abstract the staking experience. We see that a lot in Ethereum right now, where it's like liquid staking indexes and so on. So my prediction of the future is that we are going much more in the other direction, that staking will be much, much more abstracted, and less people will directly participate, but rather just buy financial products where staking is a core part of that. I think Cosmos is extremely innovative, but it can also really do more to also unlock more growth by making the whole ecosystem more friendly to institutions, and also more friendly for like DeFi applications, everything, so people can build on top of that and really abstract more and more the whole staking experience, and making participation much, much easier for everyone. So we can really onboard everyone onto it. The next point is, who will and should run validators? On the one end of the spectrum is like, just a few institutions will run validators, and on the other side is like staking. Everyone will be staking on a smartphone. It's very easy to run a validator. Everyone can do it all the time. And probably today we are around here. We have a few large validators, but we are nowhere like near staking on smartphones. Any inputs from the audience? Like, what do you think? Like, who will and should run validators? Do you think it will more consolidate, or like more go like everyone will stake in the end on their smartphones? Consolidate. So I think actually my prediction is it's going much more on the right side. That like a lot of people will be able to stake. Using their smartphones. I think it's really important that we like also foster the decentralization and work towards that to make these systems more resilient and decentralized over time. I think, yeah, Ethereum is very good positioned there, and it's going to be very, like, I think Ethereum is going in the direction like really making that happen or like having that vision. And I think it's important for Cosmos to also clearly differentiate and have a clear vision on like where it's going in terms of decentralization and that. And I think it doesn't mean that it has to be on the right side or something, but I think it's very important to be like intentional about it. Where do we want to go with Cosmos? And I think that will be very important for the success of Cosmos as well, to have a clear vision and direction there going forward. Yeah, how geographically decentralized will staking be? On one hand, like, yeah, validators will physically be selected in a few countries, or like they will be all across the world. Today, we are probably around here. It's still like pretty much central. Like the biggest countries are the US and Germany. I think it will like decentralize a little bit more to have like staking all across the world as well, not just like in the G7 states, basically. So, yeah, and I think what we need for Cosmos is like more like local initiatives and like really encouraging people to run validators all across the world outside of G7 as well. Here's a little graphic that was just released. There we see the stake distribution across countries, and I think there's also a observatory zone for Cosmos, obviously, which is tracking that, which is great, and here for like the other chains, and so. The other part is like how much staking participation will the networks want? That's the last point. So it's really, today it's around 40%. And I think probably all of them will like consolidate around like 60% over time. And I think here Cosmos has to be, or like can also be like lead the charge and like innovating. I think it has a really innovative inflation model and so on. But over time, it will probably have to be even more dynamic in their security budget allocation to make it more efficient, to really like, okay, this is the security budget that we have. We want to make the chain secure, and it shouldn't overpay, it shouldn't underpay. It should be like properly compensated for everyone who contributes. But I think this has to be like more dynamic and more of a marketplace over time. And so here we see the staking ratio on our website, stakingwars.com, for all proof-of-stake networks and also for the Cosmos ecosystem. So it is still like changing a lot, and usually we see like, for the longer established chains, the staking ratio is higher. And there are also huge differences, which also confirms like, it's very hard to like make that happen, and the whole inflation has to be much more dynamic to really achieve what the network wants and needs, actually. And so that's my main takeaways. I think summarizing it again, first one, it's important we like unlock more growth and adoption for staking by abstracting it further. The other one is we need to make it more resilient and decentralized over time. And and then together, like, I think we can make Cosmos staking even greater and make it very successful. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mirko.